perfection. Alert and ready, provocators awaited. The air charged with tension holds billions of neutrons, heavy and loaded, ready to explode. The borders are sealed, yet porous and proliferated. The checkposts are guarded, yet the land is connected. The air charged and heavy lifts itself and merges into the horizon, into the open sky, the open fields. The earth is continuous, sovereign nations merging into each other. In spite of borders and checkposts, the geographies are connected. The open skies cannot have boundaries. The sun shines on all territories. With unblemished golden rays, here we stand, alert, at attention. Akshay Chin, Vaga, the gateways and endpoints. Yet when we look from the clouds, the earth seems one. The people are the same, their lives are the same, living, loving, struggling to keep peace in their homes and hearts, walking down paths laid out for them, borders, checkposts, and all. So that is the first one. The other one is, the earth sheds tears. Through forest and swamp, through jungle and field, with outstretched arms stood trees, giving shade and shelter, swaying gently in the breeze. The wind lifting the young green boughs, creating patterns, playing with the rays of the sun. Mosaics across the ferns, rich green foliage, a melange of twigs, moist earth sprouting forth life in its splendor, creating bunches of joy and green magic. One day, the trees started falling. The earth shed tears dripping with sap, half-cut trees, half-empty hearts. The saws kept working, the trees kept falling. The trees shed up sap, weeping for Mother Earth. Soon the forest was denuded. The trees were removed, carried away to destinations unknown. Branches lay mutilated, the leaves crushed and broken. In the former forest place there now lives a monster, an enormous being of brick and mortar, a tall skyscraper where humans have divided their open spaces into boxes and compartments, destroying the forest to create prisons, trapped in their spaces, breathing toxic air, rejecting the green lungs and the fragrant forests, which once played with rain, choked spaces, narrowed vision. The little trees that now live in the peripheries are pruned and dwarfed, cut and manicured. They look like trees, but inside lies a heart where the sap has dried, and around the trees lies a barren field, and in the field a lone bird seeks shelter under the manicured trees, and not finding any, swirls away and flies forever to destinations unknown. That's it.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving ahead, दोस्तों, किसी ने खूब कहा है कि मंजिल मिल ही जाएगी भटकते भटकते ही सही, गुमराह तो वो लोग हैं जो घर से निकले ही नहीं. With this note, now I would like to take an honor to call over the stage Professor Swati Paul. Well, talking about her, she is the Honored Principal of Janaki Devi Memorial College, University of Delhi. She is a Fulbright, Nehru and Charles Wallace Scholar and a leading voice in contemporary Indian academia, a poet, translator and a theatre expert. She has authored several books and scholarly articles. Her poetry collections In Absentia and Forever Yours explore love, loss and human resilience. As a Vice Chair of Association of Commonwealth Literature and Language Studies, she has been honored nationally and internationally for her contribution to education and arts. Big round of applause everyone for Professor Swati Paul, the Principal of Janaki Devi Memorial College.
Thank you so much. At the outset, thank you so much Mandiraji for inviting me here. It's a real honor to be here. The only thing I want to say is that I wish it had been Karan Singh ji who had spoken, because the way he recites poetry, in a sense, I'm relieved he's not here to listen to me. Really. Okay. So just a couple of poems. This one is called till death do us part. My screams have become selves. They clamber over furniture, climb walls, crawl on the floor and hang from roofs. They multiply and grow tall like lengthy evening shadows. I hear them all the time, and that's all I hear. Day or night, alone or in a crowd, they never, ever leave me. I shut my eyes, praying for oblivion. They prise my eyelids apart, and I stare at their mad dancing. They own me. They feed on me, and I on them. We are lovers, stroking each other, unmindful of others, and thus will we remain till death do us part. It's a slightly bleak poem, so I'll try to read a less bleak poem. This one is called Ashi. Bengalis will understand that. And many a love is lost, written on dusty shelves when wiped clean, and carved on trees that are felled or fall, and inked into flesh which turns to dust and ashes, and penned on paper which fades and crumbles. But love that lives is the whisper of the leaf as it swishes in the breeze, is the ripple in the ocean that ebbs and flows, is the twinkle of the star that lights a tear in my eye. Love says, I will be back, Ashi, not goodbye, never, ever, but only if you believe in forever. One last poem, because all of us have talked so much about Nirbhaya and the plight of women and so on. So this is something I wrote after the incident at the RG Kar Medical College. And it's called The Universe as It Should Be. Teach them self-defense, karate, judo and wrestling. Create helplines. Arm them with pepper sprays. Make machine guns for them. Is it? Do we teach these to 6-month-old infants and 80-year-old elderly? I would rather learn art and poetry, music and dance. I would rather call up a friend and chat for hours, not panic and call the police. I would rather carry biscuits for the dog and water for the birds. I would prefer to be disarmed. Can you help me? Can you give me a road without lurking shadows? A room without hidden monsters? A people who are human? Why make me what I do not want to be? Why not make this universe as it should be? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving ahead, ladies and gentlemen, time to introduce our next poet, Mr. Abhay K. Well, talking about Mr. Abhay K, he's a poet, diplomat, and the author of more than a dozen poetry books, including Celestial Stray Poems and the Magic of Madagascar and the Alphabets of Latin America. His Earth Anthem has been translated into over 150 languages, symbolizing global unity through poetry. A recipient of SARC Literary Award, he has represented India at international literary platforms and recorded his poems at the Library of Congress, Washington, D.C. His translations of Kalidas Meghdut and Ritu Samhara won him the KLF Poetry Book of Year Award. His artistic expressions extend beyond writing. His paintings, inspired by Buddhist philosophy of Shunyata, have been exhibited at the Bihar Museum, Patna, and the National Museum, New Delhi. It's our honor, sir, you are here. Put your hands together, everyone, for Mr. Abhay K.
Good evening. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm going to share two poems from my forthcoming poetry collection called The Alphabets of Africa. And the first poem is called Africa is Everywhere. Light aspires to pierce through the darkness of hatred and ignorance. Learn about Africa, her rich heritage and traditions, music and dance, colors and cuisine. Don't burn in the hellfire of ignorance, screaming the horror, the horror. There is beauty and wonder awaiting to startle. Open your eyes, heart and mind. Africa is everywhere. Africa has everything you can dream of. It has the power and magic to lead you out of the long, deep tunnel of darkness into light. Come, shade your ignorance. Bask in the light of Africa. And I'll read one more poem. Have you heard of Malik Ambar? So Malik Ambar was an Ethiopian slave, but he was the arch enemy of the Mughals in the Deccan. He was the de facto ruler of Ahmednagar, and he also, founded the fort of Janjira, which was an independent entity before the independence of India. So here's a poem about Malik Ambar. It begins with a quote by Mutamid Khan, the surrogate diarist of Jahangir. He had no equal in warfare, in command, in sound judgment, and in administration. History records no other instance of an Abyssinian slave arriving at such eminence. Born at Chapu in Harar, sold to the slave traders, I was taken to Mocha in Yemen, then brought to Baghdad, converted to Islam. I became Malik Ambar. Sold again and taken to India to serve as a mercenary in the Deccan, in the service of Peshwa Chengiz Khan. I was one among thousands of Habsis, hired to protect his Nizam Shahi Sultanate. I was set free only after his death. I got one of my daughters married to a royal scion and became the de facto ruler of Ahmednagar, employing Marathas and Dakshinis in my army, making Maloji Bhosale my trusted aide. Generals after generals were dispatched from Delhi to overpower me. But I stood as an impregnable wall between the mighty Mughals and the Deccan, employing guerrilla warfare, gathering greater land revenue. Jealous Jahangir prefixed my name with choicest cuss words, the ill-starred, and asked Abu al-Hasan to paint him shooting arrows at my severed head. Shivaji celebrated me as brave as the sun in the epic poem Shri Siddh Bharat. I rest in peace in my blessed Deccan, in the valley of saints, in Khuldabad, watching Khadki, the city I founded, flourish. My fort Janjira, ever unconquered. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Moving ahead, time to introduce Madam Rachna Joshi. Talking about Madam Rachna Joshi, she is the distinguished poet and editor with masters in creative writing from USA. She has published 5 poetry collections and has been associated with India International Center, New Delhi for nearly 3 decades as senior assistant editor. Her poetry captures emotion, time, and human relationships with elegance and depth. Big round of applause, everyone. Madam Rachna Joshi.
This evening I'll read 2 poems about Nagaland. I spent many years in the Northeast in my childhood, and so these are my memories, which I'm writing in a new book. This is called Picnic in Kohima. School children from Little Flower School, Kohima, went to the river for a picnic. The neck of a chicken was wrung and khichdi was made on a stove. Everyone laughing and joking, oblivious to the trouble around. Played table tennis in school. How bananas is a bad word and learnt about menstruation. Diet of boiled eggs and fainting at the march past. Konama village nestling in the mountains, home to some of the oldest Naga tribes. The second poem is about Kohima. A house in Kohima on Officers' Hill, below the Chief Secretary's house with sentry posts on both sides. Later on, I opened my windows and went to sleep at night. Naga food, people talked of partying and put meat in everything. Went to Babba's office in Kohima, an atmosphere of apprehension and anxiety. Negotiations at home and outside all lead to peace. Read the Bhagavad Gita to an ill lady. Ramcharitmanas in AIR Kohima. Thinkers Forum, Nagaland Bhasha Parishad. Nita Nija visiting. All of us sang songs from Dimapur to Kohima and watched the jhoom cultivation. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving ahead, now it's a time to introduce Professor Radha Chakravarty. Talking about Professor Radha Chakravarty, she is a poet, translator, critic, and acclaimed Tagore scholar. She has published over 20 books and her poems have been included in the numerous international anthologies, including Pandemic, a worldwide community poem, nominated for Pushcart Prize 2020. Her works as an editor and translator have made major Indian authors accessible to readers worldwide. Put your hands together, everyone, for Professor Radha Chakravarty.
Good evening. I'll read a few poems from my book of poems called Subliminal. And the first one I'll read is called Memories of Loss. Memories of loss. In a seashell held to the ear, the murmur of a distant ocean. In the veins of a fallen leaf, the hint of a lost green spring. In the hiss of logs in the fire, the sigh of the breeze in vanished trees. In the butterfly's bold, bright wings, the trace of silken cocoon dreams. In the cracked, parched earth, the yearning for a lost monsoon. In the filigreed finesse of ivory, the agony of a dying elephant. In the fragrant phial of musk, the bottled anguish of a deer. In the sheen of a marble floor, the heartbreak of a mountain rock. In the pressed flower between the pages, the story of you and me. The second one is actually inspired by my work on Tagore and my long engagement with his writings and his philosophy. It's called In Search of Shantiniketan. Abode of peace, they call it, where the red earth path leaves the village, luring the soul to unknown quests, risky routes, where, if no one answers your call, you walk alone. Where the Kowai beckons and dreaming treetops stretch their arms, reaching for the sky. And the mind, companion of clouds, flies away beyond the horizon into faraway, limitless space. A poet's dream of peace without limit. Shantiniketan, abode of a poet's yearning, home of many homes for many colored dreams. Udayan, Konarak, Shamali, Punashcha, Udichi, where open windows once led the eye to open vistas of promise and possibility, but now the new view reveals our circumscribed world. Beneath the Chatim tree, a sage's musings, now turned into a stone monument, a frozen meditation, a dream of peace, drowned by the present's clamor, the frenzy of our unquiet age. But paths of memory lure the mind to seek out still the long-lost place where, beneath the trees, the squirrels played, and children of a different age smelt mango blossom in the breeze, learnt lessons from the ants and bees, heard the bird song, saw the trees, ran with the wind and danced in rain, and learned to dream of a world to come, where the mind is without fear and knowledge is free. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving ahead. Now I would take an honor to introduce Madam Rashmi Anand. Talking about Madam Rashmi Anand, she is a writer, counselor and social reformer. best known as a founder of Women of Elements Trust, providing legal aid and emotional support to women and children affected by violence. She has authored 13 books on courage, love, and inner transformation. Recipient of Nari Shakti Puraskar and several international honors. Her work embodies compassion in action. Madam Rashmi Anand. Hands together, everyone.
Thank you so much for inviting me here. So I came out of a very violent marriage in 2002, which is why I work on the things that I do. And my first book was Woman of the Elements. It was like a search of self. So I'd like to read from that. So I found that there are, the elements in ourselves. So there is air. So I discovered the air in myself. I encompass your body. I fill up your very soul. You cannot live without me. I complete you, make you whole. I fill up your each emptiness. Within you I lovingly reside. And within your very last breath, in you I will abide. I stir your senses, your every breath I hold. I am your awakening, for I am love untold. I fill your entire being, though you rarely feel me there. I am your life, your existence, for I am the woman of the air. Woman of the air I am. I discovered that I was water. The turn of the course can be daunting when I go through paths unexplored, but I keep to my spontaneous natural goodness. It's my innocence that takes me onward. I flow on with confidence. I know the patterns will emerge. I have an acceptance of all that is fated, whether joy or pain may surge. I have absolute faith in the absolute. I have belief without seeing. I perceive the limits of my own power, but hope courses through my entire being. Oh yes, beginnings are difficult. It is tumult that brings forth nurturing rain. But at every ending, there must be new beginnings, and there must be joy after pain. Water, water, woman I am. I discovered my spirit, the fire inside of me. The sun, the moon, the stars I am, for each one of them is fire. Just beyond touch, just beyond reach, just beyond desire. I move upwards, beyond all things. I rise above, and none knows why. I cannot be confined, I cannot be controlled. I eventually escape into the sky. Quick and impulsive I am, high-spirited and free. Try to get hold, get burned. Who can have a hold on me? Stimulating and sure of spirit I am, confronting difficulties fierily. Susceptible to no dominance nor dominion. No domain can curtail me. Fire, fire, woman I am. And then there is the earth, of course, the earth inside of you. I am the cycle within all cycles, the repeating cycles of death and of birth. I nurture the seed, giving of myself, then bring it back to myself, earth to earth. I am the repeating cycle of the body and the mind, for I birth every beginning, then with the chain of death I bind. I am the repeating cycle of the seasons that births, matures, and brings to death all things. And yet, every day I renew myself, and I walk in eternal spring. Earth, woman of the earth I am. I just want to finish off. I know I'm taking a little more time, but I'd like to finish off with the preface of the book. And I come from the land of Durga, Kali, Lakshmi and Saraswati. I am each one of them. I come from the land of Kannagi and Gandhari, Ahilyabai Holkar, Lakshmibai, Sarojini Naidu. I am each one of them, no more, no less. For years, I forgot who I was. I was repressed, suppressed. I was subjected to violence, harassed, violated in every way, subjugated by way of every kind of emotional, mental, and physical torture. But in every life, at some point, comes an awakening when one says enough. no more. I walked out of a miserable, constricting, violent world into my own. I now hold my head high. I live as I want. I live with truth, courage of conviction. Every moment shines on me. I have power. I am power. Never again will I forget who I am, what I am. Never again will I forget the power that is me. Never should any woman forget.
Thank you very much. So far, so great. I'm feeling so great, honestly. Moving ahead, ladies and gentlemen, now it's my absolute honor to call over the stage our next poet, Dr. Runi Basu. We're talking about Dr. Runi Basu, the poet and scholar, heads the Center for Public Policy and Governance at the Institute of Social Sciences, New Delhi. Previously served as professor at Jamia Islamia University, Jamia Islamia. The author of 4 poetry books, including Polychrome Sentiments, she has published widely in literary journals. Her poetry explores memory, loss, and identity through an academic yet emotional lens. Put your hands together, everyone, for Dr. Runi Basu.
I thank Lustrous Communication and the Poetry Society of India for organizing this lovely poetry evening for all of us today. And thanks Mandira, my friend, for giving me this opportunity to read my poems. I'll just read 2 poems, maybe longish ones, but just these 2 from the book Polychrome Sentiments, published a few years back. The first poem, which is titled Poetry is Still Possible, and the last one, which is titled Why Do I Still Dream? The first poem, Poetry is Still Possible. I feel your touch clasped around my forehead, your groping arms a witness to my words to be. Crawling, marauding, weeping, sleeping, hurting to find a path to your island somewhere. You slash my exterior, warm up in my blood. I push the windows of light to enter the density of your starless night. When your eyes meet mine in a narcissistic revenge pool of the mirror, my pen gets smudged and the alphabets draw blood. I can see an era there, a prophecy somewhere. My island poem, with you I have walked in ecstasy, in pain and in timelessness. I sometimes cease to be as though I'm dying into nothingness. But your shores protect me, I penetrate your waters. I dive deep, only to see the corals sometimes. The mother pearl still goes missing. In your island, summers undress in naked waters. Clouds chase each other behind mountain tops. The sea lashes the horizon skies with unrelenting hunger. But you manage your passions with leisure and honey from real hives that sting. I feel purified, and the words go back to you in unhurried solidarity. You do not demand complete surrender. You want me to be, therefore I am. No fake rebellions in my conquests, in my pain, and in my triumphs. You do not ask for submissions or subjugations. You only want to be authenticated. On other days, I run to you, quiet, scared in pain and innocence, powerless and with a prayer in my lips, to sit down and write on your grass, your sweat, and your indulgence. I do not chronicle history, I only write poetry. What do I need to fear? Certainly not the fire in your gut, which can mirror my dreams, or the warmth of your kitchen, that nudges its embers into my warmth. Or your black moods wrapped in a holy cave, or your longing soul trying hard to penetrate my body of utterance. Please, dear reader, keep your doors open and allow my poems to descend into your blood, your dialect, your dreams, your hurts, your loves, and your penumbra skies. Give me the shade to believe that poetry is still possible. I'll read the last poem of this book. Why do I still dream? We know that only in dreams black holes leave ladders which can be used to climb up when you've had a free fall. And exit options are always reversible. We know that only in dreams we can swallow the fresh pain of lust, anguish, and betrayals with a rare fluid ease of apathy and forgetfulness, as though it happened light years away. We know that only in dreams our gardens are touched, stroked, desired, and fulfilled, secret caves discovered. And when our endless longings take respite, it is not the beginning of solitude. We know that only in dreams all our sins and passions are not forced to be forgotten. They are warmed by the forest fire, thirst wet by the seasonal monsoon. The sun and the rain conspire to forgive and indulge our trespasses. Therefore, I give you my dreams with only these conditions. You have to shield them from divine conjunctions, empty fears, decaying scent of flesh, and the crumbling waters of stolen fires within. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving ahead, ladies and gentlemen. Well, it's a time to introduce to you all Mr. Sandeep Sinha. Our next poet, talking about Mr. Sandeep Sinha, he's honored with the title The Scientific Poet of 21st Century in Ireland. He is a distinguished writer, educator, and the founder of Lustrous Communication, an initiative dedicated to promoting knowledge, creativity, and the beauty of language. He is a recipient of Media Tech Lifetime Achievement Award for Excellence. He is also an enthusiastic traveler who has explored nearly 30 countries, enriching his poetic and philosophical insights through diverse cultures. Mr. Sandeep is an inventor of concepts of Aadhaar card and electoral reforms of 2003. Ideas he actively pursued through meetings with policy makers across the legislature, executive, and the judiciary to strengthen the transparency and identify the integrity in the modern governance. Deeply concerned with the ongoing global trend of conflict, he presented a peaceful proposal to United Nations. After an in-depth study of the root causes of wars, his vision for a peaceful world rests on the three principles. Number one, political leaders must possess a university degree, since most dictators who waged the wars were the school dropouts with military training. Second, the leaders must not contest elections beyond the age of 80 or beyond their nation's average life expectancy. Third, no individual should hold the office of Prime Minister or President for more than 2 terms, ensuring that democracy does not transform into monarchy. Through his writings, travels, and reformative ideas, Mr. Sandeep Sinha continues to inspire a global movement towards peace, education, and enlightened leadership. Hands together, everyone, for none other than Mr. Sandeep Sinha.
Thank you, Radhika. Really an honor to be here among distinguished. Yeah, okay. not used to speak in front of the mic. So, well, Radhika has summarized everything in the poem that I'm about to read, and this is the peace proposal that I gave to UN General Assembly and to Secretary General, because these days war is becoming a trend, in Middle East and everywhere you see. So if a nation does not agree with the policies of another, so they're just waging a war. So I just, being a researcher, I did some research also, and here's my poetry. So from the soul. So very simple poem, and I write autobiography series. So it's autobiography of a war. Hello, I am a deadly, bloodthirsty war. I arise when hatred crosses every bar. To warn the consequences of my action, I trust a poet for my honest expression. I am created in the hazardous minds of rulers. Indulging in homicide, they are brutal killers. Such megalomaniacs mostly dropped out of school, and they had, if you see their biography, they were either grade 4 pass or grade 8 fail, like Hitler and party. And these guys adopted violence, even enforcing military rule. As I recall mass killings by many a dictator, I cannot forget Idi Amin, the guy who actually, deported so many Indians from Uganda, Gaddafi, Suharto, and Hitler. With no fixed term, the butchers turned democracy through repression and pillage into lethal autocracy. Centuries ago, kings exploited me to annex territories. Then political leaders abused me through missionaries. Cunning despots tried twice to annihilate humanity. That was the time we had World War I and II. So, cunning despots tried twice to annihilate humanity. Isn't their lust for power a symptom of psychotic insanity? Now I see the forces of fascism erupting again, engulfing children and elderly for monetary gain, just like we see President Trump putting tariffs on us. Missiles continue to contaminate air, soil, and sea. Holocaust in forests, why do not our eyes see? So we normally question, we do PUCC for our cars and motorcycles. But how about the missiles, that contaminate air, soil, and sea? And the chemical weapons we use. Nobody of us, even me, are questioning these big leaders. So they are destroying the forest. I save a tree in my colony, but I'm not able to save forests, I'm tired of seeing suffering and casualties. Oh God, when will my tragic existence cease? That's what the war is saying. The war is not happy. Not until leaders possess university education and retire by 80 years with 2 fixed terms and no more re-election. Just like in the USA, as you know, they have presidential form of government and they have 2 fixed terms. But unlike some countries, like including India and North Korea and China, so they can contest elections for as long as they are living. So that's not good. So thank you, friends. Thank you for being here. Really an honor. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, sir. Well, I'm sure, ladies and gentlemen, you must have enjoyed this evening. Time for the expert comments. I request Madam Mandira Ghosh to kindly share your expert comments of the proceedings till now and to offer the closing acknowledgement. Madam Mandira Ghosh. Hands together, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Radhika, for making this session a beautiful one. As I already said, the poems we have heard so far has deep resonance. There are times of conflict that they speak of, unrest, human life hurt, searches for peace, dignity and understanding. That is evident in several poems. There are lines from Macbeth like Achla said, double trouble, double trouble. She uttered the negative dimension of the humanity which was taken over by the poems of Nagaland by Rachna Joshi. Bhakti poetry is demonstrated by the poems of Amarendra Khatwa, who has also spoke on Nirbhaya. There are poems on Africa. As I said, there are several places where today's evening passed through. I won't take much time, but only my heartfelt appreciation to all the poets for bringing their voices with sincerity and courage. And I also above all thank the audience. Your patience and your listening have given great value to every word spoken here. With that, we move forward to the closing moments of the evening, and I request Sandeep Sinha to give vote of thanks. Then we will.
Back soon again. So, friends, thank you for being here. As we come to this close of beautiful evening, it's my privilege to give the vote of thanks. So first, Padma Bhushan Dr. Karan Singh ji, I had the opportunity to listen to his poem on Ozymandias. That was about 27 years ago that he had given the conference room which we normally go to. And so it was so sweet of him, I met him on Diwali, and very nice person. I really admire him. And then I extended